the phone, and as I watched him dial the phone, my phone rang. He was calling me to tell me what had just happened and ask what he should do. And then a year later, I was with him on 9/11. Not with him, I was near him on 9/11, when he got a phone call. His oldest son was just 6.
So yes, folks, I believe it's time for President Biden to do more for the American people, send out stimulus payments for the people, and let's see what he can do for the American people in stimulus. We have a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI and SSDI. Continue watching this video because you guys don't want to miss out on this. We got a ton of news on what to do for this. Serious debates over Social Security are happening, and the lawmakers are unexpectedly proposing new Social Security reform plans. Many are urging that Joe Biden prevent the lawmakers from making any new changes to programs like Social Security. Even the former vice president said today that the cuts to Social Security and Medicare should be on the table for the long term, making him different from the former president as he considers a run for the Oval Office. But during an interview with CNBC, we are looking at that crisis in this country. Over the next 25 years, that is driven by entitlements, and nobody in Washington, D.C. wants to talk about it. The former president has positioned himself as a defender of Medicare and Social Security, and he's doing so again as he seeks a return to the presidency. So while folks, his annual budgets include proposals to reducing Medicare spending, they primarily targeted provider payments rather than benefits, and his efforts to limit Social Security spending were aimed at cutting directly benefits, not checks for retirees. So now it is encouraged, AARP has encouraged its members aged 55 and older to send a message to Joe Biden. The message is to urge Congress to keep their hands off Social Security and Medicare. According to the bill, the senior vice president of government affairs at AARP has a response that has been overwhelming, with about 82,000 people sending letters in the past week. It's good to see that people are trying to work together to get the American people to send out stimulus checks and to get the people the money they deserve. Because folks, it is definitely possible for Joe Biden to do this. There's no excuse for him. Now, the future of Medicare and Social Security have increasingly come up in debate around that ceiling. It's up to Congress to agree to raise or eliminate that ceiling to prevent a unprecedented default on the country's debt. As part of the negotiations, though, lawmakers may look to cut the costs. Nancy Pelosi, Kevin McCarthy have vowed to keep the changes to Social Security and Medicare off the table. But the House Republicans have called for cuts to the program, like raising the retirement age or changing the way the annual Social Security COLA is calculated. Now, those changes may not be included in the debt ceiling negotiations, but it's possible, because efforts to create commissions to examine the programs may move forward as part of a deal, which has set off a vigorous debate. And that would include Social Security pension disability, Medicare Part A, highway trust funds, and things like that. Social Security's trust funds are projected to pay full benefits until 2035, at which point just 80% of the monthly checks will be payable. Because Medicare's Part A trust fund will cover hospital care, it's projected to pay benefits fully until 2028, at which point 90% of benefits will be payable. Because another bill, the Bipartisan Social Security Commission Act, would seek to form a temporary commission to address solvency of the program's funds under the expedited procedures. Whether such committees are going to be necessary to shore up the trust funds is a topic of fierce debate among the experts. But one thing I know for sure is that Joe Biden can do something for the people. He can't get the stimulus out there if he wants to.
Jobs, they're real jobs, man. It means we've created more jobs in 2 years than any presidential term in American history. Not just created, but you created it. You did it. The unemployment rate of 3.4%, as I said, is a 50-year low. 800,000 manufacturing jobs.
She now qualifies for a $1,400 check. With the first two rounds of checks, it didn't matter if you were struggling to pay your own way through college, as long as you were claimed as a dependent and were aged 17 to 21, no stimulus for you. Couple of catches. One, the money goes to mom and dad, not you. And two, if they earn more than $160,000 a year combined, you still won't qualify.
Everybody, Joe Biden is taking action for the people. He's urging that companies lower their prices for everyday necessities. He also said that for gas and groceries, things need to be cheaper. So, President Biden also is trying to pursue higher taxes on oil companies and their profits, as if the industry giants do not work to cut gas prices. Joe Biden has criticized oil companies that have made record high profits. It comes as consumers struggle to keep up with high gas prices. According to AAA, today the price of a gallon of gas was $3.76, down from a record of over $5 in June, but still higher than a year ago. And when asked about the gas companies, Biden said it's time for these companies to stop their profiteering. If they don't, they're going to pay a higher tax on their excess profits. And right before Election Day, everybody, the White House messaged that it's focused on how Democrats are going to improve the economy and Republicans will make it worse. Inflation and the economy consistently rank at a top issue for voters, and higher gas prices stretched consumer budgets for much of the year. Any new tax on oil profits would need congressional approval, which may prove difficult as Democrats control both chambers of Congress by slim margins. Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren also previously floated the idea the Republicans, who generally support lower taxes, hope to win back one or both chambers in Congress as of the November 8th midterms. Shell also made $9.5 billion in profits in the third quarter, almost double what it made the same period last year. Exxon profits in the third quarter made $18 billion, and that nearly tripled what Exxon made last year, and the most in its year history. And now Biden has made pleas to the oil companies to increase production rather than to enrich shareholders in recent weeks as the price of gas remains high. Now early this month though, President Biden announced that the release of 15 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve will inflect inflation. Biden promised in his speech earlier today to purchase oil to refill the reserve. Once the price hits $70 a barrel. He said companies should therefore invest now and increase production with the confidence that the government will pursue and purchase the oil later. AAA reported today that gas prices in the state of Florida fell last week and are set to rise this week when the state gas tax holiday increases again. The tax holiday has allowed drivers in Florida to fill up their tanks without paying the state's 25 cents a gallon of tax. The holiday, part of a broad tax package approved this year by lawmakers in DeSantis, started October. Now, when the state sales tax holiday was implemented at the beginning of the month, gas prices declined in total of 22 cents within a couple of days. But the savings for drivers didn't last long. In a recent news release, AAA reported that during the first week of October, OPEC announced plans to cut its oil production rate, which sparked a 17% oil price hike, raising the cost of producing gas and ultimately dragged Floridians' gas prices back to where they were. Chicago motorists also speaking out after the OPEC announced it's slashing oil production by 2 million barrels a day. It came after November. Under the new City Chicago Moves program, the city issued $150 gas cards and prepaid debit cards of $50 to help people who are traveling. So hopefully President Biden can send out more national stimulus payments, everybody.
To save the planet. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And now I want to yield to the distinguished chair of the Energy and Commerce Committee, a committee that has tremendous jurisdiction over, well, if you ask them, they have jurisdiction over everything. But in terms
which includes a child tax credit program, among other numerous spending initiatives. Designed with the federal child tax credit in mind, the Pennsylvania Child and Department Care Enhancement enables families to receive tax breaks for child care expenses at a value of 30%